Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Mr. Muskie Charters, offering full-service guided fishing trips for walleye, muskie, bass, and sturgeon on Lake St. Clair and the Detroit and St. Clair rivers. Booking information is online at mrmuskiecharters.com. Hey everybody, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors, and thank you so much for joining us this week. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. We're going to spend most of the time in the northwest part of the lower peninsula. There's so much good fishing right now. We're going to show you what it looks like to do a little early season bass fishing, and then we're going to show you what it looks like to do a little jigging for lake trout in the Grand Traverse Bay. You won't want to miss that. And we're going to highlight another teacher on this week's show who is going above and beyond to expose kids to the out of doors. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988. Featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest Pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com. By Huron Lady River Cruises in Port Huron, offering daily sightseeing trips and private cruises for all ages. Sightseers will experience the International Blue Water Bridge, Great Lakes Freighters, the Fort Gratiot Lighthouse, and more. Huron Lady River Cruises on the web at huronlady.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
Plan is we're going to go out here on this lovely northern Michigan lake and try and find some smallmouth.
Yeah?
Yeah, see if we can't find some of the big ones that roam up here.
Lots of little inland lakes up here though, right?
Yeah, we're really fortunate up here. We have a lot of lakes. There's multiple lakes within, 30, 40 miles of Traverse City that we fish. I try to fish about 15 to 20 this time of year.
Okay.
And there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of good smallmouth fishing. So Let's see what happens.
Joining Chris today was his good buddy Andrew Lemley. We were on the Torch Lake chain of lakes just outside of Traverse City today looking for big smallies. It was cold and raining, but we sat down right on some fish, and it was one after another as we got started.
That's a little better one, not big, but a little better. They're here.
I guess so. Is that a large one?
No, it's a smallie.
He's coming in a little.
Yeah, he got it underneath the chin.
Right.
Nice fish. Oh yeah. All right, coming in.
Oh yeah, it's a little better.
Took a swat at it. Got all sorts of the business end of it. This is where you got to be careful with Mr. Smallmouth.
Smallies are a ton of fun to catch, and Chris usually likes to throw a lot of different baits to start the day.
Yeah, usually we start off, and try a couple different things. That way you can really dial in on what they're doing. Some days they want to eat a jerk bait. Some days they want to eat a swim bait. Some days they'll eat a rattle trap better. So you really try different things to hone in on it. Right now, I believe it's 3-3. He's got another one on right here. Looks more like a real one. Nice fish.
A little bit better.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
But right now
they're eating anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're really starting to get more aggressive here as the water warms up.
Yeah.
I mean, a week ago we had
A little pre-spawner.
43 degrees here. 44.
Water or?
Yeah, water temperature, and we're up to about 52 now. So we've had almost 10 degrees difference here in the last 7 days.
Okay.
So,
What's the temperature they really are looking for to spawn?
up in the 60s, the
Oh, okay.
low 50s to mid 60s right there is when they'll really start getting after it. So.
Chris has been a full-time guide up here for many years, and it's always fun to learn from the guys that do this all the time. He has clients most days and is on the water starting in April.
That's a nice fish there.
There you go. Yeah. Get a picture of this one.
The old deep diving jerk bait.
Ooh, nice.
That old fatty there.
Toad.
Good morning, sweetheart. Thank you for coming to play. Now just let's keep the hooks out of Daddy's fingers.
Boy, you really ate that.
Yeah, you got all sorts of the business. And what's really good is when you see them hitting it from the front like that, when they're getting that front hook in their mouth, you know they're really eating it good. So.
One thing I think most of us are not aware of as Michiganders, especially if you're not a fisherman, is just how good our smallmouth fishing is. It's really world-renowned.
Well, I've been fortunate enough, same as Andrew, to fish a lot of places in the country, and I mean, northern Michigan, in my opinion, and from everywhere I've fished, is probably some of the best fishing on the face of the planet. Doesn't have to be a big lake, doesn't have to be a little lake. Every lake up here has big fish in it. And when we say big fish, we mean fish 5 pounds or better.
Okay.
We're very, very fortunate to have that up here.
And you're talking all smallmouth.
Yeah, all smallmouth. There's largemouth mixed in some of these lakes too. They're more of a weed-oriented fish or a wood-oriented fish, where a smallmouth gets out and roams. They'll be out on a flat somewhere in the middle of nowhere, where Mr. Largemouth likes a little bit more cover.
If you're just looking to get started, the swim bait is a great way to catch fish on many of these northern Michigan lakes.
It is. It's probably my favorite thing to fish. You can fish it deep, shallow. Anybody can fish it. It's just a steady retrieve. Good way to get somebody that's new to the sport into it. Stuff like that. Yeah, it's really easy, and it's a proven fish catcher.
What kind of weight you get on there?
This is 3/8 ounce for probably 10 to 15 feet. You can get a little lighter as you go shallower, stuff like that, but very versatile bait.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice fish there.
Come over here. Whoa!
There we go. That's a big one. I don't know if I should do this one. There's a nice one.
How big is that guy?
He's in the 4 pound range.
Okay.
Good solid fish.
Devil eye.
Yeah, you got the pretty eyes. Hooks are sharp. Got it in the front face again. Beautiful.
That's a nice fish.
Northern Michigan smallmouth right there. That's what it's all about.
Nice job, young man.
Fun day, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Chris, talk to me a little bit about working this jerkbait. How are you working that thing?
Well, the key to working a jerkbait, 2 things is rod selection and how you work it. I prefer a shorter rod, and I prefer to throw it on a spinning rod. You can throw it on a casting rod as well, but this is a 783 SSJR Loomis E6X. It's a 6 foot rod, 6 foot 6 inches, and you really want to snap this. You want to make sure you get a good long cast. I usually reel it down first to start with. I'll reel it down, jerking it a little bit. Then you want to make sure you jerk it on slack line. Slack line is one of the keys to make sure you get that bait to dart left and right and cover the water column. If you reel it down and jerk it down, it gets down to the depth it's supposed to be at, which right here we're in about 8 to 9 feet. And I'm just barely touching the bottom with this jerk bait from time to time. But you're always jerking it on slack line. I like to jerk it straight down. Get a good cast out there again. And then you let the colder water, you let it pause a little bit longer, but the water's warmed up here. We're looking at about 53.5 degree water. So just let it sit there. And I watch my slack line. It's kind of like a bobber. If that line happens to jump, then I know a fish hit it. So, but one of the funnest ways to catch smallmouth for sure.
Well, truth be told, we could have showed you several more fish, and we were only on the water a few short hours. We never did catch the 6 or 7 pounders in here, but they are here. So if you're up north this summer, find a lake and have some fun.
Well, as you can see, smallmouth fishing in that part of the state can be really, really good. It can also be really cold this time of the year like it was in that story. Well, or it can also be almost 60 to 70 degrees this time of the year like it was when we did a little jigging for a lake trout on Grand Traverse Bay.
Well, we're getting ready to drop lines here in a minute. This has got to be one of the prettiest places in the state of Michigan. The Leelanau Peninsula is just phenomenal. We drove out in kind of some fog and now it's breaking. It's just a beautiful morning out here. And I've really never done this kind of jigging for lake trout before, so I'm kind of excited to see how this all works. And I think our captain knows what he's doing, so should be a good morning.
So we're Grand Traverse Bay. We're gonna do some vertical jigging for some lake trout. Roughly, we're fishing reefs. We're about a quarter mile off from the main trench in Grand Traverse Bay. I focus on reefs in midsummer, fish her up, chasing bait, bloaters, alewives, the gobies. Gobies is a major diet for these fish. Basically, we're gonna go around, we're gonna chase, try to selectively target some of the better sized lake trout that Grand Traverse Bay has to offer. With any luck, we'll be on some fish here shortly. Shouldn't take too long at all. Been having good success. I'm gonna fish some spoons, some tubes, some medium heavy action rods, and try to see how many Jimmy can wiggle off and put in the net.
Your fisherman is kind of inept today, so.
Well, he's not small. When you're on medium heavy, I run 20-pound main and 15-pound leader, and so anytime they pull.
Boy, it's just that little tap. That was really. He
It's
must have hit that 2 or 3 times before he got committed to it.
Yep.
Must be a male fish.
It's gotta be.
He's got commitment
It's gotta be
issues.
that weirdness. That's a good one, Jimmy.
Yep.
That's a great fish. Oh, a little more. There it is.
That's a good fish.
That's a really good lake trout. That's a good Grand Traverse Bay. He's got one on right now over here.
Mine's not as big as Jimmy's.
Yep. Perfect.
That is a beautiful fish. Lake trout in Grand Traverse Bay. Beautiful. So when you say there's a reef out here, so it's...
So what we have is we have 400 foot out here.
Okay.
We're on a tabletop right here. It's about 100 foot. We have another reef that comes up to about 40 foot over here, about another half mile off. Fish come up out of the deep. They sit on this 100 foot of water. They just chase bait, the alewives, everything's coming into the bay, pouring in. Salmon are coming in. We're seeing some steelhead out here all summer long on the scum lines.
Huh. So it's like a mini standard rock kind of a deal?
Yeah, kind of. It's a lot like standard rock in a sense.
You're getting
Without the greater depths, obviously we have warmer water temperatures. Our water temperature is running 72 right now. No,
It feels bigger than the last one.
well, we want you on.
Oh my gosh.
I want you to go home and be like, wow, that was a lot of fun. My arm is kind of tender.
Jeez. He's not wanting to give up.
That's why I love lake trout. They just
Oh man.
give you everything you want.
They fight a lot harder this way than on some big lake tackle.
And that's why I do not troll.
This is a big fish.
Oh, Lord. There's that Christmas card fish.
I say.
Oh, geez, Jimmy.
Don't break your
Darn you. Why did I say that?
That is a pig. Holy.
It's a big He's got Jimmy's fish is now going to eat yours, Joseph.
That is a toad.
That's why we fish Grand Traverse Bay where we do.
So, I think that's probably the biggest lake trout I've ever caught. And Bob said the last one we got was what, 13 pounds?
pounds.
And that was about as big as they get. Well, it's better to be lucky than good because we just got what's got to be close to a 20 pounder. That is just a big fish. Man, do they fight good. Wow. He hit that 2 or 3 times before.
Yeah, you swung and missed on him a few
Yes,
times.
I did.
It's a great, great fish.
That is a dandy. What a fish. Jeez.
I try to keep in 70 to 100 foot of water. I like to use a 1 ounce spoon, white, anything lake trout related, you know, lake herrings or AKA Cisco related. They are really attracted to white. So I'll go anything from a 1 ounce spoon, you know, with a little blue, a little chartreuse, a little red on it. I also am not shy to put down a like a 6-inch or a 5-inch white bass tube. On the slower days, I'll change it up and kind of play around with that. It's a little bit, you know, slower motion, slower jigging. They do tend to really hop on it though when it is time to use that bait. But for the most part, day in, day out, 1 ounce white spoon. A lot of guys, Swedish pimples. There's a jig out there on the market. It's been in the Grand Traverse Bay area for a while. A gentleman designed, it's called Elk Rapids jig, pretty popular. You can pick them up at hardwares, local bait stores. Those in white 1 ounce work great. There's another gentleman here locally that he makes his own, pours his own spoons, and it's called a Jonah jig. Jonah jigs are a great spoon to use. So basically anything white, 1 ounce, and a hook on the bottom and some braid, maybe some 15 mono. Jimmy's missing them. Yeah, I mean, the whole trick is to keep it moving, stay vertical, pick it up fast, drop it slow, feel them in between.
Well, the morning we're, I don't know, 4 or 5 fish in probably, and just keep kind of moving and moving and kind of looking for them on the graph. And oh, this one's coming up. Yeah, it's just really a fun way to fish. And they really fight, you know, typically with the lake trout that I've caught before have always been kind of on a big lake boat.
That's perfect.
And they're still, you know, fun to catch, but on those big tackle and trolling like that, it's just, there's not much to the fight. But with this on kind of lighter tackle, they really give you a good fight. And they're down 100 feet, so yeah. That's a good fish. That's a good eater right there.
Yeah, that's what I encourage my clients to take home to eat, are those fish.
How long do you say you've been doing this kind of fishing?
This is my 4th year vertical jigging for lake trout, and been pretty much fishing lake trout on and off my whole entire life out here with my family members.
Okay. Did you grow up in this area part of
I did. I grew up in northern Michigan and moved to Traverse City 3 years ago, and I just love the area. I really do. It's not just the fishing; it's the sights, the beauty of the summer. Wintertime's okay. We all have a certain feeling about Michigan in the wintertime, but we bear through it and wait for springtime and bless the warm sun.
There you go.
Can't really beat it. I mean,
Now, how long have you been doing the charter thing?
this is Central Coast Angling's 3rd year in business.
Okay.
We do steelhead trips starting in mid-September right through April.
Okay.
We offer steelhead fishing on the Grand River, Muskegon, Pure Marquette, as well as the Manistee.
Right there's the tip of the Old Mission Peninsula. It doesn't get any prettier than this. It's a perfect morning out here. We're catching big fish. Company's a little lackluster, but other than that. That was a fight and a half.
So unfortunately, part of this jigging is you have a tendency to follow hook fish sometimes. The best thing we can do for these fish is make sure they are revived properly and put back, and hopefully we'll get them the right way. It's the best thing we can do for them. But always important to make sure your fish are revived, healthy. Spend some time with them. Make sure they go back happy. It's a really important resource to a lot of folks in northern Michigan. When they are hooked inappropriately, it does really wear them out. So, safe and happy.
So if you're looking for a new adventure this summer, you may just want to try Grand Traverse Bay for big Lakers. It is a ton of fun.
For many years now here in Michigan, school kids have had an opportunity to take part in a program called Salmon in the Classroom, where they're able to raise some young salmon and release them at the end of the school year into our Great Lakes system here in Michigan. Well, now we have a program called Sturgeon in the Classroom, and it's pretty exciting.
Here in Lake Orion in Oakland County, there's something pretty special happening at Walden Middle School. Mr. John Gray's 8th grade science class is raising a lake sturgeon to be released into the wild later this year. The Sturgeon in the Classroom program has been around for just a few years, and Mr. Gray's students love being a part of it in his exciting science class.
It's general science, but I've always kind of had a passion for environmental science, so I tend to do a lot more things that kind of angle to the environmental science end of it, so that's how I got into the Sturgeon in the Classroom here. Official name, educational display of a live lake sturgeon. And also the Salmon in the Classroom program, been doing that for 13, 14 years now. And some of the other DNR programs and some of the conservation programs, so I try to squeeze some of that messages in and make the kids aware of the environment and conservation and stuff like that.
The conservation-minded curriculum in this science class fits perfectly with the Sturgeon in the Classroom project.
Yeah, this is the 4th year that they've had it. Started out with just 6 teachers, 6 or 7, and then it's expanded a little bit, but definitely not to the level that Salmon in the Classroom is. I mean, it's just because of the fact that it's endangered and there's a little bit more, in getting the sturgeon to the classrooms. So it hasn't expanded as much as some of the other programs, but it's still a great program, and I've enjoyed doing it the last 4 years, and hopefully I can continue to do it.
Mr. Gray's class has done a great job caring for the young sturgeon they've had in their classes the last 4 years. Jeremy Guck from Sturgeon for Tomorrow says that's pretty important.
Currently, there's 8 schools in the state of Michigan participating in the Sturgeon in the Classroom program. 4 of those are here in southeast Michigan that we, the St. Clair Detroit River chapter of Sturgeon Tomorrow, are working with. Sturgeon populations are way down from their historical levels, commercial fishing, pollution, all those normal causes that have hurt a lot of nature, have contributed to the decline in sturgeon. But they do seem to be making a comeback, and I think programs like this will help continue that for future generations to enjoy.
John Gray is doing his part to help ensure our future generations have a knowledge of our environmental and conservation issues here in Michigan. John is recognized by many conservation organizations for his contribution to such an important issue.
We do a few different things. Been involved with the National Wild Turkey Federation, so I'm a member. And they have a patch contest every year where they design the cooperator patch for the wild turkey. And it's a cooperative effort between the DNR and the National Wild Turkey Federation. And so I've had my kids submit designs for the contest that they have every year. And I've been fortunate enough to have 8 of my students actually design the patch or be the basis for the design for the patch over the years. So we do that, and then I got involved through Safari Club International. I'm also a member of that, and I got involved with Mark Borson. He does a wildlife biologist up out of Roscommon, and he does the surrogate sow program. So they tag bears and keep track of them, and then they can put orphan bears with them. And so the last few years I've been fortunate enough to take some students up to a bear den check and get a chance for them to hold the cubs while they're checking the mother bear, and that's been kind of a neat opportunity for them as well. So.
This Sturgeon in the Classroom is just one of many great opportunities John Gray's students have had the privilege of taking part in. And while it's so exciting to see it all, Jeremy wishes these programs had been around just a little longer.
I'm so jealous when I wish I had these opportunities having sturgeon in my classroom when I was in school, but it's a great way to get kids direct interaction, hands-on education. Instead of just reading about something in a textbook or online, they get to see and sometimes touch and take care of this really interesting fish that will grow up to be the largest and oldest living fish that we have in the Great Lakes. So I think that really helps develop an interest in our environment, and that's something we should all be interested in protecting, because if the fish that live in the water that we drink and that we use to take care of our land, if they're doing well, we should be doing well too.
And it looks like the future of our conservation heritage is alive and well here in Lake Orion. It's teachers like John Gray and organizations like Sturgeon for Tomorrow who make these memorable moments in education come to life and live on here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching Michigan Out of Doors this week. We sure do appreciate it. We do have a point of clarification on this week's show. A couple of weeks ago, we had some walleye fishing down on the Detroit River. The captain on the boat had said at the time that any fish hooked from the gill plate forward was considered a legally hooked fish. Well, that is not the case. A lot of people emailed us and called us and got a hold of the DNR as well. And I've talked to a conservation officer, as did the captain, and he was incorrect in that statement. To be a legally hooked fish, a fish has to be hooked in the mouth. So that was an incorrect statement. We do apologize for that being on the air, and a lot of you caught that, so thank you for that. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, and thanks for the conservation officers to help clarify some of that. So hopefully that'll help you as you get down on the river. Still some good river fishing to be had. In fact, I'm going to be down there later this week. So lots of good stuff coming over the next few weeks, and if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or greenstonefcs.com. By EOTech, a Michigan company, equipping law enforcement and sportsmen alike with quality optics, creating jobs for Michigan workers. On the web at eotechgear.com. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. With its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses, Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. Closed captioning provided by Randy's Hunting Center, serving Michigan as Ruger and Leupold's National Dealer of the Year, and inventor of Ruger's 450 Bushmaster rifle.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man, changing